1.8, absolute value, equations, and inequalities. Solve the equation. 10, the absolute value of 4x plus 2 equals 5. So we know that an absolute value makes like your answer positive, but a negative inside of the absolute value will turn it positive. So when I set up absolute value equations and inequalities, I'm always going to have two separate problems that I'm doing. So for this first one, we copy it down exactly as it is. So 4x plus 2 equals 5. And then the other one is going to be 4x plus 2 equals negative 5. Because if what's inside equals 5 or negative 5, it's still going to give us an answer that works. So I solve it down. 4x equals 3. So x equals 3/4. Or over here, 4x equals negative 7. So x equals negative 7/4. And that would be your answers for those. Absolute value of 2x plus 3 over 3x minus 4 equals 1. So I still set this up as two separate problems. One is always copied down exactly. The other one would be equal to a negative number or opposite of whatever the sign is over here. It's pretty much going to have to be negative, but so 2x plus 3 over 3x minus 4 equals 1, or 2x plus 3 over 3x minus 4 equals a negative 1. So when I have something like this, I'm dealing with, a fraction over here. I'm going to multiply both sides by the denominator to get basically rid of the fraction. So that's going to give me 2x plus 3 equals 1 times 3x minus 4. So I'm just going to write it as 3x minus 4. Now I would move all the x's to one side, numbers to the other. So subtract 3x, that's negative x, subtract 3, negative 7, divide by 1, or divide by a negative, so x equals 7. Over here, same thing, 2x plus 3 equals, now this is negative times this, so it's just going to change these two signs, so negative 3x, and then plus 4. So I'm going to add the 3x over, so that's 5x equals, subtract the 3, 1, so x equals 1/5. Now if you're checking your answers in the back, they may or may not be written like this. I think they write them like this, where it's like a set notation. So it's like the elements in the set. You don't need to write it that way, just write it like I do. But just for your reference, if you're checking your answers in the back, they may be written that way. All right, any questions about equality ones at the moment? All right. Let's move down to some inequalities, and then we'll go back to a different kind of equality briefly. So if I have an inequality, like 28, the absolute value of 3x minus 4 is less than 2. When I have an inequality, I still copy things down exactly as it is one time, but then the other time I flip the inequality and I make it negative. So this one's going to be 3x minus 4 is less than 2. So that one stays as is. The other one, 3x minus 4, is greater than negative 2. So you can kind of think of it like if you multiply or divide by a negative, we flip the inequality. So it's kind of the same thing. When we make the one side negative, we've got to flip the inequality with it. So over here, 3x is less than 6. So x is less than 2. And then over here, 3x is greater than 2. Divide, x is greater than 2/3. And they want the answer in interval notation for these ones. Make a note of that. So first of all, what I would do is I would line these up so that they're written in the right order. So x is greater than 2/3, but x is less than 2. So it will be 2/3 less than x less than 2. Now that is inequality notation. So don't stop there. The interval notation that they want my answer in would be to put this stuff in parentheses, since it's just like a less than or just greater than parentheses. If it's or equal to, then it's brackets. So this would be 2/3 to 2. And this would be your final answer here. So that's interval notation there for your final answer. (34) 5 times the absolute value of x plus 1 is greater than 10. So before you do anything, we've got to make sure that all we have left on that side is the absolute value. So I need to move anything over, and this will be the same with the equalities that we're going to go back to in a second. So I need to divide by 5 first. So this will become the absolute value of x plus 1 is greater than 10 divided by 5 is 2. Now I can continue like I did the previous problem. So I'm going to have copy down exactly x plus 1 is greater than 2. Over here, x plus 1 is less than negative 2. Subtract 1, x is greater than 1. Over here, x is less than negative 3. Now, these things are going opposite. X is greater than 1. That would be over here. X is less than negative 3. That's going to be over here. So this is an or problem. So when you write this, it's x is less than negative 3 or x is greater than 1. So when we do our interval notation, my answer is going to be from negative infinity to negative 3. That takes care of this part. Union over here, 1 to infinity. That takes care of anything on that far side past that. So nothing in between. It's only the stuff on the outside, whereas the last problem was everything in between, not the stuff on the outside. Any questions about that one? All right, the next set of problems say to solve the equation or the inequality, so it's just as in terms of the problem set, it's just that they're blended and like you just have to pick, or obviously just do whatever the problem is. I don't really know why they break stuff up the way that they do, but that's okay. So 44, the absolute value of 8 minus 3x, and then minus 3 equals negative 2. So first and foremost, we need to add the 3 because I need to get the absolute value by itself. So absolute value of 8 minus 3x equals, add the 3 over, so 1. Then copy down exactly, 8 minus 3x equals 1. And then over here, we make this negative. 8 minus 3x equals negative 1. So subtract 8. So negative 3x equals negative 7. Then x equals 7 over 3. Negatives cancel. Over here, negative 3x equals negative 9. So x equals 3. So these two would be my answer for this one. One more that's a little different, 64. The absolute value of 3x plus 2 is less than or equal to 0. So when it's equal or like less than or equal to 0 or, equal to 0, whatever, what do you think I have to do with this one? Do you think I still do it twice? Why? Right, because 0 is not positive or negative, so I just copy it down as it is. So 3x plus 2 is less than or equal to 0. Subtract 2. 3x is less than or equal to negative 2. So x is less than or equal to negative 2/3. Now these ones don't specifically say that you have to write them in interval notation, but the way that you would do one like this, since it's less than or equal to, it would be from negative infinity to negative 2/3, but it's less than or equal, so we put a bracket there, so that's different than the problem that we had. The other ones were just less than or just greater than. So, any questions about any of that? Pretty familiar with this stuff. All right, your problems then are 11, 17, 33, 37, 49, and 65. And I'll come look at your notes.